Good afternoon on what is a bright, warm and sunny day. It is Saturday, 14th of May, and I have another parcel and a nice hot cup of tea. So let's find out what is inside. Go. It's easy. Open it up. Is that, which is Paternoster Investigations for the Doctor Who role-playing game. Now, the Doctor Who role-playing game is this is what, the third iteration, the third sort of like Doctor Who role-playing game we've had, all the way going all the way back to the faster version in the 80s, and then after that Time Lord from Virgin, and this which is published by Cubicle 7 and has certainly been the most heavily supported of the Doctor Who role-playing games. Including to the point where essentially it's caught up with the modern age with its Doctor Who generation books, and it's sort of like exploring the modern era with things like this one, Paternoster Investigations, which deals with the trio of adventurers in the Victorian age, which appeared just during the stories of Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi. And very entertaining they were too, because there's a strong sense of humour in these stories, especially having involving a Sontaran who takes everything very literally. So Doctor Who role-playing game, Paternoster Investigations. Welcome to the Victorian Age. Paternoster Investigations takes your Doctor Who role-playing game to the Victorian era. Favourite haunt of the Doctor and home to the Paternoster gang. Victorian London and the particulars of the age are laid out in all their varied splendours, and featuring a catalogue of all the Doctor's on-screen visits to the Victorian era. And over the course of 50 years or so, almost 60 years, there have been a lot of visits to the Victorian age as a setting with notes on how to get the best out of it for your games, expert on advice on constructing your own Victorian era adventures, and the Paternoster gang campaigns, a guide to Victorian London with both historical and alien locations, new traits, gadgets, devices for the Victorian age, complete Victorian era adventure, a study in flax, character sheets for Victorian era characters, Madame Vastra, Jenny, Jago and Lightfoot, Jackson Lake and more. And I'm really glad that Jago and Lightfoot are in there, because they have some fantastic audio adventures. The two sort of bumbling characters, the theatre impresario and ex-military who appeared in the Talons of Wen Chiang and went on to have 4 series of audio adventures. So we open up and we have the index, introduction, essentially introducing the game, pretty much expanding upon what's on the cover blurb, I would expect. And then we get into an age of marvels and the Victorian age, because it's really rife with potential for adventure. It's something that it's a setting that we keep coming back to in terms of role playing, because we're always there's a whole world to explore. The society is interesting. You've got the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, if you want to include that in your game. We have things like Cathedral by Gaslight, and Cubicle 7's other role-playing games set during the period, which Victorian age as well. So lots of them. So we've got a discussion of what the Victorian age is and when it is, and the later period. So we are really talking sort of like 1880s to 1901, sort of like at its heyday. And we have Queen Victoria, personalities of the age. And it's interesting to go back and remember just how many sort of like, oh yes, they did that, the Queen Victoria and the werewolf, which is interesting. And of course Charles Dickens early on in Christopher Eccleston's story were a really nice Christmas ghost story, absolutely fitting for a Charles Dickens story. So we've got a full list of all these sort of like famous personages that the player characters could encounter, and you know, really should, because that's one of the interesting aspects of time travel is meeting interesting people of the age. So not just artists, explorers, as well, scientists. Ada Lovelace, would love to see her appear in a Doctor Who story. Explorers, social reformers, lots of interesting foundational characters that have whose influence is still kind of felt. We're getting history through a different lens. So we have here, you know, basically how the whole period is different once you add the presence of Doctor Who's monsters and a Paternoster-like gang, if not them themselves. So we've got a good guide to what's going on, including a secret history of the late Victorian age. So there we go, just there. And then tying things in, including, of course, here we have the encounter with ghosts in the Charles Dickens story. Then we have the time machine and yes, the Sixth Doctor's encounter in the Victorian age, which is probably one of my least favourite stories, I have to admit, because that's Time Lash and it's quite utterly terrible. Yeah, unfortunately. So we've got a full list of them there as well. But I do not recommend that story under any circumstances. But there are lots of things to get into, and even goes into Victorian adventures in space as well. You take the trappings of the Victorian era, the gaslight power, the steam power, combine them all, and put them in space. We have the Paternoster's Guide to London, including, of course, how to serve a nice hot cup of tea. I approve. So we have complete guide. Of course, there's a Bluffer's Guide to Parliament, which, honestly, yeah, you don't really get into too much detail about that. So good guide here. Map. Okay. I'm just wondering, potentially, yeah. Grumble. Why isn't that used as a map? Why isn't that used as a good map of London during the period? And then we get into individuals. So full stats for some of the NPC's characters for the television series that the Doctor has encountered. So we've got a Rogues Gallery, a version of the Artful Dodger, some of the characters, Alice Shield, or me, who is notable immortal. Napoleon the Dalek, anyone? And we do actually have Miss Lovelace. Whether that's Ada, I can't remember. Yes, it is, because she's a boffin. She becomes a cyborg. So yeah, lots of things. And we've got Scarlet Valentine, that very Scareth-like figure there. So what else we got? And the Borad. And then we get into Victorian adventures, and really this is sort of like the campaign advice for your Doctor Who role-playing game master, and the types of adventures which you can run, whether that's scientific investigators, gentlemen investigators, and so on, alien refugees, consulting detectives, of course. And then strangely we get into some archetypes. We have upper class archetypes. We have to wonder just why do you have an image in a supplement for the Paternoster Investigations in the Victorian age, an image from the 1920s with the encounter with Agatha Christie? New traits, of course, adding new traits, building gadgets, all of which you would expect, because definitely the Victorian age is an age of wonders and technology. Then we get into particularly of Paternoster Gang as a campaign set up, and Jackson Lake, who thought he was the Doctor but wasn't, spoiler alert, yes, well, and Jago and Lightfoot. And the typical campaign involved, and even at the end here we have a Victorian at a time, of course, with Victoria, who was a companion of the second Doctor. And then in particular we have the Paternoster campaign itself and its possibilities. And then, so basically how to build particular adventures, types of adventures, aliens in London, steampunk lens, the art of deduction or lack thereof, and more. And then this is the actual adventure, a study in flax. So yeah, we've got a full-length adventure in there. So lots to delve into there, and run an adventure, and really did get a campaign started, and then finally we have the appendix, which contains the character sheets. So here we have Banavastra, her companion Jenny Flint, their Sontaran servant, because he's definitely not a manservant, Strax, Jackson Lake, Rosita Farsi, quite a range of interesting characters, more than I should imagine, but nevertheless. Then we have Henry Gordon Jago and Professor Lightfoot. And he's a professor, not a military man. I sit corrected in the Nook. And then Clara Oswald and Victoria Waterford, both companions, and both sort of kind of detailed elsewhere in the line. Victoria, of course, in the second Doctor, sourcebook, and Clara in sort of the more recent stuff. So yeah, that's the Paternoster Investigations. I think this is going to be I'm going to look forward to reviewing this. I haven't reviewed anything for the Doctor Who role-playing game for a while, and I really should. Especially I should finish going through all of the Doctor Who Generation books, because I think I got up as far as Christopher Eccleston. It's after that the books really kind of get a bit large, so take a bit longer to read. And I should do that, especially in the lead up to Cubicle 7 releasing an actual second edition of the game, including a starter set, which I am looking forward to. But yeah, so I've always been a fan of Doctor Who ever since I could successfully hide behind a sofa. My Doctor was Tom Baker, of course, but I certainly remember stories with John Pertwee, and even very far back to the end of Patrick Troughton. I would have been very small then, very distant memory, and I've always enjoyed the role-playing game as well, and it was sort of the occasional chance that I've got to play it. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this unboxing of Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below, and of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings of Nook, where you'll see me out here, the parcel, and from which I will get out a book or a game, and chat about, to the best extent of my knowledge, for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. And then please do hit that subscribe button. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.